Hi everyone, Edie Summers here. So I wanted to share with you my top tips for improving energy. I'm going to share two with you, and the first one is mindfulness, and that might sound kind of boring or unoriginal, but actually it's incredibly powerful, and it's a free tool. This is actually the main way that I improved my energy levels without even realizing that I was using mindfulness. In my early 20s, I developed chronic fatigue after a ski accident, and I had to have surgery, and I was in physical therapy, and it's actually, I'll come back to the physical therapy story because that also involves mindfulness. But in general, let me explain how it works, mindfulness works. You could also use the term self awareness. When you're able to slow down and listen to your body, what you realize is that your body is sending you signals about what's working for it or not working for it. Sometimes that comes in the form of symptoms, and other times it just comes in the form of signals. And I had to slow down because I wasn't feeling well. I had broke my knee and I was in physical therapy. But also, it actually took me a couple of years before I sort of figured out the to listen to my body on a really deep level and make changes. And the way that I did that was I was living with a friend, and she had these Dove dark chocolate bars in her fridge, and they were really good. And I used to, that I used to have them like, every day, and it sort of became like a treat. And I still have some chocolate, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. However, I've started to notice that I was working in the natural food store at the time. This was a couple years after my ski accident, and I was looking for answers. So I started working at the natural food store, and I had learned a lot about nutrition and natural healing and things along those lines. However, and I made a lot of improvements, but one of the biggest improvements I started to make was when I started to notice that maybe the chocolate or toward the evening was interfering with my sleep. So I started to eliminate it. And actually, I got pretty extreme about it. I eliminated all chocolate and all stimulants, and that probably went a bit too far. However, it made a huge difference. I started sleeping deeper and I started to heal. And actually, I can remember now, even a couple years before that, I used to drink coffee for a couple years, and I always felt kind of jittery on it. But after my accident, I was far, far more jittery on it. So I did know that that was something I would have to give up, and it took about a month to stop drinking coffee, and I noticed my body relaxing on a pretty deep level, and I was sleeping better. And then that was kind of the beginning point of it, and then a couple years into it is when I realized, like, oh, wait a second, there might be other things that are interfering with my sleep and ability to heal. So these days, I'm still pretty careful with chocolate, and actually, a lot of chocolate, the sugar bothers me. However, I did find one brand that I do okay with, and well, a couple brands. That can make a difference. And I don't drink coffee anymore, although I do. There's a nutritional shake that has a little bit of coffee in it that I seem to do okay with that. So sometimes it's about eliminating things that are irritating your body, and sometimes it's about reducing them or finding a healthier version. So but mindfulness is incredibly powerful because, there's actually a quote by Deepak Chopra that says that mindfulness or awareness, it kind of lessens the gap, closes the gap between symptoms and well being. And isn't that profound? And that's exactly what I was experiencing. So that's my number one tip and tool. And I still use it to this day. Sometimes I forget and I have to remind myself, wait a second, slow down and listen to my body. And I know it's not always easy to do that, but if you're not feeling well, or you have low energy, or you're feeling exhausted or burned out, or maybe you have some other reason, maybe you have chronic pain or some other type of health challenge or wellness challenge, that can be a really motivating factor to slow down and take some, really listen to your body, and maybe make some changes, even if they're small ones, and see if it makes you feel better. So along those lines, talking about mindfulness, I was mentioning that I was in physical therapy for 8 months. And so I broke my knee when I was 22, and I had to have surgery, and then I had to go into physical therapy. And I wrote my book. I wrote a whole book on the subject. It's called The Memory of Health. And also my book also goes over tons of research about fatigue and energy and chronic fatigue and CFS and how to improve energy levels through self-care and stress management and creating resilience and mindfulness. And actually, the title of my book, The Memory of Health, I had written that. That was the first thing that popped into my head. And I was just talking about remembering what it was like to feel well. However, in research, I discovered that the word memory is actually connected to the term mindfulness. And it means, in its original state, it means a lucid state of being. And isn't that amazing? Doesn't that sound like something that sounds good? I'm actually in the kind of the bigger picture, even though there have been some great challenges that I've faced in terms of health issues and other issues, I'm grateful because it's made me a better person. It's made me more aware. It's made me more present. I've learned more about what creates health and well-being in the long run. So to me, it's worth it, even though there have been a lot of challenges too. But it's that lucid state of being that mindfulness can help create, helping you be more present. You can also get it through yoga and self-awareness. So however, back to physical therapy. So I was in physical therapy for about 8 months, and they started giving me, I had to take ibuprofen every day for 8 months. I was taking about 6 to 8 a day, and I think I started realizing at some point that I was sensitive to it, and I started gaining weight. I started getting this yellow tinge on my skin, and also I wasn't really making all that much progress with my knee. My knee after surgery was completely straight. I had tons of scar tissue in it. I couldn't bend it at all, and I was a dance major at the time, so this was devastating for me. And I didn't know what I was going to do. So, and actually, about the 8 month mark in physical therapy, they recommended that I take naproxen, which is a prescription form of ibuprofen. It's like it's a prescription, what's called an NSAIDs, which is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. And I actually had a severe reaction to that. I got really depressed, and I didn't get out of bed for a week, and except for to go get some homework from school, and I felt like I was falling down a deep, dark black hole. It was horrible. So I realized pretty quickly then, by using mindfulness and not even being aware that that's what I was using, but it was pretty clear that something wasn't working for me. So I made a decision to take myself off of everything that they had prescribed for me. And I am not knocking physical therapy or my physical therapist whatsoever. They were amazing and they helped me a great deal. But I had reached a breaking point, and I knew intuitively that something wasn't working for my body. My body was having a severe reaction to these drugs. So I went to see a naturopath, and it was my first time experiencing the natural world and natural health. And he recommended that I take some natural things to help with inflammation and getting my knee down naturally, and they worked. It made a huge difference for me. I was able to get my knee back all the way down, which was amazing. So, and also, this gets into the idea of being your own best advocate and never giving up on yourself and listening to your body and do what's right for you. It's going to be different for you than for anyone else. And I also had set the intention for myself that I was going to find a way out of this maze. It felt like a maze. And I didn't know what all the answers were, but I know that I had set the intention to get out of it. So that kind of gets into the idea of mindfulness and also mindset, like an intention, like believe in yourself, never give up hope, and set the intention, even if you don't know how you're going to feel better, set the intention to feel better. So those are some of the bigger tips I have, and I go deeper into my story in my book, The Memory of Health, and I actually have a whole course on how to improve energy levels, and it involves coaching, and there are so many tactics. It's kind of I can't put them all in one video, but there are a lot of tactics that I use, and I've found some really successful tactics to improve energy levels. And of course, you also want to look at the bigger picture, which is how to improve your overall well-being. And you can kind of think as your well-being as a web, and your body as a web. It's like an interconnected web, and you can affect well-being on any part of that web, any part of the web that you might touch. One of the other big tips I have is improving digestive health and strengthening your microbiome and making it more diverse. And this is something that also kind of comes back to one of the reasons why I may have developed chronic fatigue in the first place. I still don't know exactly what the reason was. And for people with chronic fatigue or CFS in particular, we don't know what the causes are. But there are many different reasons that people develop chronic fatigue. In my case, it's very possible, because this is actually true for a lot of people now. We're realizing how important the microbiome is. The microbiome is your digestive tract. It's actually where about 70% of your immune system lives. And when I was taking ibuprofen, which is also an NSAID, so it's part of that family. It's a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. Those can affect your digestive tract. They can cause bleeding. I was taking them for eight months. So it's very possible that affected my microbiome. It's very possible that the antibiotics I was taking affected it, or maybe the severe stress. Severe stress can impact your gut diversity. So we're still learning a lot about it, but it's becoming more and more apparent that it's critical for overall well-being, and they're even connecting it to lots of chronic conditions like Alzheimer's, maybe potentially even diabetes, and who knows, CFS might be part of that too. So the number one way that I see over and over again in research to improve your microbiome and increase its diversity, because they're saying that that's what makes you stronger and more resilient physically. And of course, I would also add into that mindfulness. But in terms of gut health, the way you want to do it is by eating the rainbow. Eat more fruits and vegetables, and eat a diverse amount of plant food, and eat the whole rainbow. That's the number one tip I see over and over again. So that's the part that I'm working on more. I'm always working on improving my well-being, and I have to say that, again, I'm so grateful. Even though there have been a lot of challenges, I'm grateful for this whole journey, because it's made me stronger. It's made me a better person. I've learned a lot more about health and well-being. And so again, some of my main tips, even though I have so many tactics and tips for energy, how to improve energy. And again, I cover them all in my book, The Memory of Health, and also in my course, which I'll tell you a little bit about here in just a moment. But again, the first one is mindfulness. It's free and it's really powerful. And you just want to listen to your body's signals and use that self-awareness. Encourage yourself to allow yourself to slow down, and it's worth it. You're worth it. Listen to what your body is saying to you, and then make adjustments based on what your body says to you. Do more of what makes you feel better. Do more of what improves your energy levels, and do less of what makes you not feel very good. And just pay attention. Your body's talking to you all the time. And also along those lines, consider mindset, consider intention. Consider the intention that you set for yourself, and it can really influence your actions and behavior. So set the intention to figure this out. Set the intention to feel better. It makes a difference. And also along the lines of mindset, keep your hope alive. Never give up. That's something my dad always said. My dad had esophageal cancer, and unfortunately he didn't make it. But he was a fighter, and he actually was working on a book at the time that he got sick. He'd been working on it for like 13 years, but he actually worked on it up until the day he passed. That's how dedicated he was. And I remember toward the very end of his life, he brought me into his room, and we had a really like a heart-to-heart chat, and he told me to never give up. And this actually based on a Winston Churchill quote I figured out. However, we're all influenced by other people and other people's belief systems. But what my dad added to that was that to never give up, because too many people lose the light from their eyes. And, I was really blown away by that. And it's so true. Believe in yourself and be your own best advocate. That's another huge tip of mine is, I really became my own advocate. When I hit like the 8-month mark in physical therapy, and my knee was only at about 90 degrees, and they told me that's probably where it was going to stay. I told myself that was unacceptable. And I set the intention to figure it out, even if I didn't know how I was going to get there. You have to be your own best advocate, especially if you're facing any type of health challenge, or even if you don't have a health challenge necessarily, but maybe you're just feeling burned out or exhausted, or you can just tell something's not right, or you've lost your drive, or maybe you're feeling anxious or depressed, or you've lost your focus. be your own best advocate and tell yourself you're going to figure this out. And you may not be the same person that you were when you started, but you might be better, or you might be different, but you might be better. So just be your own best advocate, and then also really pay attention to, in terms of what your body is saying and what your gut is saying, both in terms of intuition, but also how can you improve your digestive tract? How can you improve your immune system, which is so much of it's related to your digestive tract? And there's so much more to talk about. I have so many tips and tactics, and I've learned a lot. I've done a lot of research, and I've learned so many tips and tactics to improve energy levels. And again, my book, The Memory of Health, goes into great, great detail about all the different theories of chronic fatigue and CFS, and also how to improve energy levels from so many different angles. And a lot of them really work. There are so many great tactics out there. I talk a lot about them in my book. And also, I do have a course. It's called Executive Energy. And it's not for anyone that has CFS, unless you're super high functioning, maybe. But if you're an executive or a highly driven person or highly motivated person, maybe high functioning, maybe you have low energy issues, but you're high functioning, and you're feeling burned out or exhausted and you're looking for answers, this course might be for you. There's a lot of coaching in it. There's live coaching in Facebook in a private group every week. I also do, every 3 months, you get a one-on-one session with me or someone on my team, which is really important because we all have individual issues. We all need to build better health habits and practice more self-care, and we all get stuck. At the same time, you also have strengths that you might not realize that you can use to help you along your journey. So, in the course, you get group coaching every week, and also an individual session every 3 months. And of course, you can get more if you want to with me or someone on my team. The course, again, is called Executive Energy. And I also address in there brain fog. I address, of course, how to get more energy in general. If you want to check it out, type in this address. It's http://2/ portlandwellnesscoach.com/executive energy. And I want to thank you so much for watching this video today. And I hope this has helped you with some of my top tips. And again, I actually have a bunch of top tips, but those are, if I can say just one, it's listen to your body more and listen to the signals it's sending you. Again, if you want to check out my course, type in https://2/ portlandwellnesscoach.com/executive energy, and it will take you to the page, and it'll explain more about everything that's included. It's a really interactive course, and it's designed to help you improve your energy levels on all levels. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye bye.